The day I decided to file for divorce, I deliberately put on a floral dress and curled my hair into big waves. Just as I was about to push the door open to confront that unreliable man and lay all my cards on the table, a childish voice suddenly echoed in my mind. Mom. You mustn't divorce. If you do, we'll truly become cannon fodder. Dad is no deadbeat, he's the future wealthiest man in the province. In just 2 years, when this land gets redeveloped, that scrap steel he's sitting on will multiply 100-fold in value. And by the way, that good friend Amelia who encouraged you to get a divorce is just waiting to swoop in and take your place. Then they'll use my dad's money to hit me and sell you off to the old bachelor at the village entrance. My hand froze midair as I pushed the door open. I was the belle of the cotton mill and famously known in the area for my high standards. My husband of 3 years, Lucas, was the neighborhood's notorious slacker. He spent his days wearing gaudy shirts and riding that rusty bicycle that squeaked everywhere except the bell, leading his little gang around. Back then, I was reckless and blinded by his handsome face, dead set on marrying him. Only after the wedding did I realize how hard life would be. Now, the news of the college entrance exam resuming just came out, and I was already making plans. But at this very moment, this little voice in my head claiming to be my son completely threw me off. Elena? What are you standing at the door for? Lucas opened the door. He was still holding half a roast chicken, the greasy paper wrapping emitting an enticing aroma. His floral shirt collar was open, revealing lean collarbones. It must be said, his face was indeed handsome. Oh my dear Dad. Get wise already, your wife is about to run off with someone. That voice rang out again, as if hopping with impatience. I took a deep breath and hid the divorce papers behind my back. Forcing a smile, I said, I just smelled the food. What took you so long? Lucas's gaze followed my hand, pausing for a moment before breaking into a grin. His peach blossom eyes sparkled like they were filled with stars. I just picked up some good stuff and got you a chicken to nourish yourself. Look how thin you've gotten lately, your chin is all pointy. If it were in the past, I'd have thought he was using this chicken to shut me up, just to keep me from nagging him about his wild antics outside. But now. Mom, see this? This is genuine roasted chicken. Dad pawned his electronic watch, the one that could have traded for half a ton of steel, just to buy this chicken for you. He truly loves you, he's just terrible at saying it. My heart gave a lurch. Lucas placed the chicken on the table and turned to fetch the bowls and chopsticks. I noticed the frayed edges of his sleeves and suddenly felt a pang in my chest. Lucas. I called out to him. He paused mid-movement. Turned to look at me. A hint of unease flickered in her eyes. What's wrong? Did Amelia say something to you? I instantly caught the name he mentioned. Amelia, my bosom buddy and best friend. Here it comes, the crucial plot point. Mom, you've got to hold strong. Did Amelia tell you yesterday that she could get you the recommendation letter to return to the city if you divorce? It's all a lie. That letter was already sold to someone else by her uncle, who's the department head. My eyes turned cold. Oh, so this is how it is. I treated her like a sister, and she played me for a fool? She didn't say anything, I replied. I walked over and naturally took the bowl from his hands. She said she wants to come over for dinner tonight to celebrate something. Celebrate what? Lucas looked completely confused. I crumpled the divorce agreement into a ball. Quietly stuffed it into my pocket. Then I looked up at him with a radiant smile, to celebrate our 3rd wedding anniversary. Lucas was stunned. So was I. Because I heard a scream from my belly, Mom. You're my real mom. That's the spirit. Tonight, we'll close the doors and deal with that homewrecker, show her what it means to mess with the rightful wife. Lucas hadn't snapped back to reality yet. A deliberately saccharine voice immediately came from outside the door. Elena, are you home? I brought great news. When Amelia entered, her eyes kept flickering towards Lucas. Today she was dressed even more flamboyantly than me, her shirt had 2 extra buttons unbuttoned, teasingly revealing a glimpse of skin. "Oh wow, Lucas is here too," Amelia feigned surprise before affectionately linking arms with me. "Elena, how's everything going?" "That paper, have you shown it to Lucas yet?" The paper she mentioned was naturally the divorce agreement. Lucas was fiddling with the roast chicken. Upon hearing this, his movements froze, and he pricked up his ears to listen. I sneered inwardly. On the surface, however, I remained composed. "What paper?" "Oh, you mean that scrap of paper? I just threw it into the stove and burned it." Amelia's smile instantly froze on her face. "Burned it? Elena, didn't you say you were going to confront Lucas today, and then we would go to that?" She stopped mid-sentence, as if suddenly realizing Lucas was present. She quickly shut her mouth, only frantically giving me meaningful looks. "Mom." Clap back at her. "This woman is trying to trick you into saying something that'll make Dad misunderstand you." Of course I knew. Lucas opened his mouth to ask, "What are you trying to?" I picked up a chicken leg and stuffed it straight into Lucas's mouth. "Eat your chicken." Amelia was talking about the cancellation notice for the city return application. "Don't overthink it." "Amelia, didn't you say that spot was already reserved for the factory director's sister?" "So I burned it, saves me the headache." Lucas mumbled around a chicken leg. "Huh? The spot's gone?" Amelia turned ghostly pale. She'd been dangling that opportunity over my head, but never mentioned it was pre-assigned. I was bluffing her, and cutting off her retreat. "Oh, why yes." Amelia avoided Lucas's gaze, stammering out the reply. "Lucas, you know the current policy. Then we won't go back." Lucas took down the chicken leg, tore off the meatiest part, and put it in my bowl. "Elena, though I don't have much capability now, I promise you won't starve with me." "What's so good about returning to the city? Living in those compounds is so suffocating." Amelia grew anxious. "Lucas, that's not right. Elena is a high school graduate, an educated person. How can she spend her whole life stuck in this shabby apartment building with you living a hard life?" Those words were quite harsh, to say the least. Lucas's eyes dimmed slightly as he lowered his head and silently picked at his food. Watching this, my anger flared up uncontrollably. "Amelia, I really don't like hearing that." I slammed my chopsticks down on the table. "What's wrong with Lucas? He hasn't stolen or cheated, he earns his keep through his own abilities. And what's wrong with this apartment block? The best nest is one's own, no matter how plain. I'd gladly stay here any day." The room fell silent instantly, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Lucas suddenly looked up at me, his eyes filled with both shock and overwhelming joy. It was as if he'd witnessed the impossible, a century-old iron tree bursting into bloom. "Holy shit. Mom, you're so cool. Did you see that? Dad's infatuation brain is about to sprout again." This wave of honest talk just maxed out the affection meter. Amelia's face turned green, as if she'd swallowed a fly. "Elena, didn't you hate the smell of kitchen fumes on him the most?" I was young and foolish back then. I picked up a piece of chicken skin and fed it to Lucas right in front of Amelia. "Now I think it's manly and dependable." Lucas blushed. "Seriously?" A 6-foot-tall grown man, his face turned as red as a monkey's but, obediently chewing the chicken skin. Amelia couldn't sit still any longer. She barely ate 2 bites before making an excuse to leave. Before departing, she leaned close at the door and hissed at me in a low voice, "Elena, you'll regret this. Only my uncle can write that recommendation letter. Without me, you'll never escape this shithole in your lifetime." Watching her retreating figure seething with rage, I curled my lips into a cold smile. Return to the city? I did go back in my past life, and what happened? She swindled all my savings, married me off to an abusive man, and I ended up dying miserably in a rented apartment. Since my son says Lucas will be the future tycoon, I'll put down roots in this godforsaken place this lifetime. The position of the tycoon's wife, it's mine for the taking. After sending away the nuisance and just as I closed the door, I was suddenly embraced from behind by a scorching body. Lucas buried his head in the crook of my neck, sounding muffled. Wifey, you didn't have a fever today, did you? Lucas's embrace was tight, carrying a faint scent of tobacco and soap. In my past life, how could I have been so blind as to think this was the smell of a good-for-nothing? What fever are you talking about? I turned around and poked his rock-hard chest with my finger. What? Can't handle a few kind words from me? Lucas scratched his head, grinning like a fool. No, it's just, feels like a dream. That look on Amelia's face earlier, so satisfying. That's exactly how it feels good. I pulled him back to sit at the table. Lucas, I need to ask you something serious. Lucas immediately sat up straight, looking as if he was ready for a boss's lecture. Go ahead. What exactly have you been up to lately? Lucas's eyes flickered for a moment. Nothing much, just junk. Oh Dad, stop pretending, just tell Mom. That's scrap special steel from a shut-down steel mill. Others sell it as scrap iron, but it actually contains rare metals. Once we sell this batch, our family can become 10,000 yuan household. 10,000 yuan household. In an era where wages are generally only a few dozen yuan. 10,000 yuan household is top-tier wealth. My heart is already setting off fireworks. Yet on the surface, I still have to put on a worried look. Lucas, since we're husband and wife, we should be honest with each other. I'm not the kind of person who fears trouble. As long as it's not illegal, I'll support you. Lucas stares at me in stunned silence. As if re-evaluating the woman before him. After a long pause, he sighed and lowered his voice, saying, Elena, to be honest with you. Justin and I, we managed to get a batch of scrap from that abandoned military factory on the west side. It may look like waste iron, but I had an expert take a look, and it's actually good stuff. If we can transport it to the south, the profit will at least multiply by this much. He stretched out a hand, gesturing. 5 times? 50 times? Why so surprised? It's 500 times. The South happens to be in urgent need of this kind of steel for construction. I suppressed my racing heartbeat and grabbed his hand. So, do you still need money? We still have some savings in the family account. No need. Lucas grabbed my hand tightly with a serious expression. That money is for you to buy pretty clothes. A man's business shouldn't be patched up with a woman's money. Listen to that mindset. No wonder he'll become the richest man in the future. So how much more do you need? I pressed. Lucas hesitated for a moment, still short on shipping fees and money for smoothing things out. I was thinking of pawning that watch. Even that wouldn't be enough, would it? I interrupted him directly, turning to walk into the inner room. I rummaged through boxes and chests to find my dowry gold bracelet. It was the only keepsake my mother left me. Unfortunately, in my past life, Amelia had tricked me into selling it to pay off debts. I shoved the bracelet into Lucas's hand. Take it, pawn it. If it's not enough, let me know. Lucas's hands were trembling. Elena, this won't do. This was left to you by our mom. Objects aren't as important as people, I said, looking him straight in the eyes, word by word. I believe in you, Lucas. I believe you can give me a better life. Consider this little investment as my stake. Lucas's eyes reddened. Without saying another word, he nodded emphatically, gripping the bracelet tightly in his hand. Elena, just wait. When I return from this trip, if I let you suffer, then I'm not a man. Wah, this is so touching. Parental love is just too sweet to resist. Mom, your desperate move is absolutely brilliant. That bracelet might be an antique, but later when Dad made his fortune, he bought it back for 100 times the price and even had a golden phoenix crown made for you. By the time Lucas left, it was already late at night. I lay in bed, touching my belly that had yet to show signs of pregnancy. In my heart, I asked the little one, Baby, do you think your dad's trip to the south will go smoothly? The voice in my head fell silent for a moment before suddenly becoming urgent. Mom. Oh no. I was so caught up in fangirling over their relationship that I forgot something critical. That shipment is going to be seized halfway by the inspection team, and the informant is Amelia's uncle. He's trying to double-cross them. Cold sweat instantly soaked through my back. I abruptly sat up in bed. Lucas had just left less than 2 hours ago. I have to stop him. I frantically got out of bed, rushing outside before even properly putting on my shoes. It was 11 p.m. Lucas said they were meeting at the abandoned warehouse in the west of the city to load the truck, setting off at midnight sharp. It takes 40 minutes to bike there from here, but Lucas had taken my bike. Mom, don't panic. Stay calm, stay calm. The little voice of my son exploded in my head. It's too late even if you rush over now. And with your belly like that, if you bump into anything, I'm gone. What then? Just watch your father get arrested? I was so anxious that I paced around the room in circles. Listen to me. The whistleblower letter won't be sent up until tomorrow morning. Uncle Walter on Amelia's side is an old fox. He wants to wait until Lucas and his crew's goods leave the city and reach his territory before making a move. That way, he can catch them red-handed and seize the goods for himself. I forced myself to stay calm. So, Lucas's trip tonight is safe. The danger lies tomorrow, on the road. What can I do then? We need to stir up some trouble for Walter so he won't have time to deal with this mess tomorrow. Mom, do you know Walter's biggest weakness? What is it? It's his shrew of a wife. Walter has a mistress on the side, hidden in room 302 at the Red Star guest house. Tonight, he's planning to stay there. My eyes lit up. Catching them in the act? That's right up my alley. Ugh, as sleazy as it sounds, dealing with scum like him calls for extreme measures. But how? I'm just a defenseless woman. How do I tip off his tigress of a wife without getting my own hands dirty? My gaze fell on the old fountain pen lying on the desk, the one I'd bought for college prep. I quickly tore out a sheet of homework paper. With my left hand, I scrawled clumsily, Walter is pulling overtime at Red Star Guest House, room 302. Working so hard. If the missus cares, maybe bring him some chicken soup. From a concerned citizen. After finishing writing, I found an envelope and sealed it. Perfect. Mom, your handwriting is like ghostly scribbles, even a deity wouldn't recognize it's yours. I put on my coat and wrapped a scarf around my neck, covering my face completely. Walter's house was located in the residential compound behind the factory area, not far from here. Now, with the dead of night around me, it was the perfect time to act. I hugged the walls as I sneaked all the way to the residential compound. Walter's family lived on the first floor with a small courtyard. I picked up a stone and wrapped it in an envelope. Taking careful aim at his bedroom window, crash. The glass shattered. Immediately after, I heard a woman cursing loudly inside. Without looking back, I ducked into the alleyway, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it would leap out of my throat. Mom, run. Someone's coming out. Turn left, there's a dog hole, no, a gap over there. Under my son's all-around navigation, I made it home safe, albeit shaken. The moment I stepped inside, I heard distant police sirens and faint cries and commotion from the residential compound. Walter's wife is the daughter of a butcher. She's skilled in killing pigs with swift motions. This time, Walter will either die or suffer serious consequences. I slumped onto the chair, gasping for breath. Well done. Walter was beaten so badly by his wife tonight that he ended up in the hospital, and his mistress was dragged out for public shaming. First thing tomorrow morning, the disciplinary committee will investigate his misconduct. He's barely able to save himself now. Where would he find the time to sabotage Lucas's goods? I let out a long sigh of relief. I poured myself a glass of cold water and drank it in one gulp. The first hurdle had somehow been cleared. But that bitch Amelia would never let things slide. Sure enough. Early the next morning, I was abruptly awakened by urgent knocking. Elena. Come out here. Was this your doing? Amelia's sharp voice. Even through the door, you could tell how furious she was. I leisurely put on my clothes. I tidied my hair in the mirror and even patted some powder on my face to give myself a rosy, healthy glow. When I opened the door, there stood Amelia, disheveled, with dark circles under her eyes like a panda. Clearly, she hadn't slept all night. A crowd of nosy neighbors had already gathered around. These days, people don't have much entertainment. A good fight at someone's house is more thrilling than watching a movie. Hey, what's this early in the morning? What happened to you? Did you go out stealing last night? I leaned against the doorway, smirking at her. Amelia trembled with anger as she pointed at my nose. Elena, stop playing dumb. Was it you who snitched on me to my aunt last night? Was it you who smashed the window? The surrounding neighbors burst into an uproar. What? Walter got into trouble because someone snitched? I heard Walter was caught in bed last night, his underwear was even torn off. Oh dear, how does Amelia still have the nerve to make a fuss? I blinked innocently. Amelia, what nonsense are you talking about? I was home sleeping all night last night, the neighbors can vouch for it, my lights went off early. Besides, your uncle, what happened to him? I feigned shock, covering my mouth. Goodness, could it be that Walter was caught fooling around outside? Oh dear, misconduct is a serious matter. Amelia was left speechless by my response. She truly had no evidence, just a gut feeling suspecting me. After all, I had just tricked her yesterday. Then her uncle got into trouble that very night. What a coincidence. But she couldn't admit it. Admitting it would confirm her uncle's scandal. Mom, be careful. This woman is about to get violent, she's hiding a needle in her hand. Our son suddenly warned us. Just then, Amelia's eyes flashed with malice as she lunged at me. Elena, I'll tear your mouth apart. She moved incredibly fast, clutching a large steel needle in her hand, aiming straight for my face. If that struck, I'd surely be disfigured. Instinctively, I shielded my belly and stepped back. But the threshold was behind me. One misstep, and I lost my balance, about to fall backward. At the critical moment. A pair of strong hands firmly steadied my lower back. Right after. A large foot kicked out of nowhere, striking Amelia square in the stomach. She was sent flying like a ragged sack, crashing heavily onto the ground. The syringe in her hand slipped and fell aside. Who dares to touch my woman? A furious roar erupted like thunder from a clear sky. I looked up, still shaken. Lucas was covered in dust, his eyes bloodshot. Like an enraged lion, he glared fiercely at Amelia on the ground. Didn't he leave already? How did he come back? Wow, my dad is so cool. This must be the legendary turning back for a surprise attack. Lucas steadied me, anxiously looking me over. Elena, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere? I shook my head, my heart still pounding. Why are you back? Lucas didn't answer me. He turned and walked over to Amelia, picked up the steel needle, his eyes as cold as ice. Amelia, I won't forget this. I don't hit women today. But mark my words, if you dare lay a finger on Elena again, I'll make sure your whole family can't stay in this factory district. Amelia was curled up on the ground, unable to get up from the pain. Seeing Lucas's murderous glare, she finally felt fear, trembling too much to utter a word. Lucas snorted coldly, turned around, grabbed my hand, and pulled me inside. He slammed the door shut, cutting off the outside view. Then he pulled me into a tight embrace, his body still trembling slightly. You scared me. My eyelid kept twitching halfway, and I felt so panicked, like something bad was going to happen to you. So I told Justin and the others to go ahead while I turned back to check. Luckily, I did. I leaned into his arms, listening to his rapid heartbeat. My eyes suddenly grew a little moist. Is this what they call a psychic connection? Or rather, did our son summon him back? Hidden powers at work. I just used a tiny bit of energy to give Dad a little dream that you were eaten by a big bad wolf. I laughed through my tears. This kid, he's a keeper. However, with Lucas coming back now, did he miss the trip south? I was just about to ask when Lucas suddenly let go of me, excitedly pulling out an oil paper package from his chest. Elena, even though we didn't make it south, on my way back, I ran into some unlucky guy desperate to offload a batch of fabric. I thought the price was good, so I took it all. Check out these patterns, could we make dresses to sell? I opened the oil paper package and my eyes instantly widened. This was no ordinary fabric, it was the later nationwide craze known as snowflake tweed. And in the most sought-after pattern of the moment at that. Holy crap! Dad, is this the legendary koi fish luck? In just 1 month, this fabric will explode in popularity because of some TV drama. Right now, the purchase price is only 1/10 of the selling price. Flipping this batch will make way more than selling scrap steel. And there's zero risk to boot. I looked into Lucas's eager eyes, waiting for praise. I couldn't resist cupping his face and planting a big kiss on his cheek. Lucas, you're a genius. Lucas chuckled goofily, as long as my wife is happy. Now that we had the fabric, my money-making plan could start ahead of schedule. I was going to show Amelia what a real, dimensional reduction strike looked like. Lucas, go call all your buddies over, I said with burning determination in my eyes. We're not selling fabric, we're selling ready-to-wear clothes. In this era, selling fabric may be profitable, but ready-to-wear clothing is where the real money lies. Moreover, with my son guiding me with an aesthetic 50 years ahead of its time, I'm determined to turn these fabrics into the dreams of every woman in the factory, no, the entire city. Although Lucas didn't understand what ready-to-wear meant, he trusted his wife. Just as we were working fervently to make our big move, the factory's loudspeaker suddenly blared. Public reprimand. Lucas, a worker from Workshop 1, has been absent without leave for an extended period. After deliberation by factory leadership, the decision has been made to terminate his employment. The announcement echoed across the factory grounds, lingering in the air. The scissors in my hand froze. Was this Amelia's retaliation? Stripping us of our secure jobs and cutting off our escape route? Lucas's face turned pale. I, however, smiled. Fired? Perfect. I was just struggling to find a reason for him to go full-time as a self-employed worker. This lousy job, whoever wants it can have it. But what I didn't expect was that the announcement wasn't over yet. Additionally, Elena, a family member of Lucas, is suspected of misconduct. She is suspended from work pending investigation. Misconduct? Me? Amelia, you're digging your own grave. Misconduct? Me? I pointed at my own nose, almost laughing in disbelief. Security Officer Lewis held a hardcover notebook in his hand, putting on an official air. But I clearly noticed his gaze drifting toward Amelia several times. Elena, someone reported that you were out all last night and were allegedly messing around with loiterers at the Red Star guest house. Lewis cleared his throat. You'll need to come with us. Lucas exploded upon hearing this. Like a wolf protecting its prey, he stepped in front of me, veins bulging in his neck. You're full of shit. Last night I was at home, and so was my wife. Who the hell saw her go out? Red Star guest house? That's where that old pervert Walter hangs out. How dare you throw mud at my wife? Lewis's face darkened. Lucas. You're fired, watch your tone. The whistleblowers saw it with their own eyes. How could it be fake? Amelia clutched her stomach and sneered sarcastically. Lucas, don't be fooled by her. Didn't you go to the west side of town last night? How do you know she stayed home all evening? Who's to say she didn't sneak out to meet some other man the moment you left? After all, she's too proud to settle for a rundown place like this. The neighbors' expressions shifted. The buzz of whispers swirled like flies. Elena usually loves dressing up, doesn't seem reliable. It's hard to tell someone's true face behind their mask. Lucas clenched his fists tightly. He turned to look at me, his eyes full of anxiety. Elena, don't be afraid, I'm not afraid. I gently pushed Lucas away and even leisurely straightened my collar. Louis, did you say someone saw me going to the guest house? Louis seemed a bit uneasy under my stare. Of course. Who is that witness? Bring them out to confront them face to face. To protect the whistleblower, we cannot disclose this information. Louis was still holding his ground. The little one's sweet voice suddenly took on a mocking tone. Mom, tear into him. The whistleblower is Amelia's gambling addict cousin. Last night he was lurking near the hostel, stealing bikes. And Louis took 2 bottles of premium liquor from Amelia. They're still in his office drawer, unopened. And what's more, Louis is terrified of his wife, but the belt he's wearing right now was given by that widow last night, and it even has the word love engraved on it. The corners of my mouth shot up wildly. The baby is really coming through. Louis, I suddenly smiled mysteriously, if I were you, I'd get out of here with your crew right now. Otherwise, when your better half finds out that the new belt around your waist was a gift from that pretty widow down the East End, guess whether you'll be allowed through the door tonight? Louis's face, originally so dignified, instantly turned ashen, and he instinctively covered his waistband. What nonsense are you spouting? Am I talking nonsense? You know the answer in your heart. I took a step forward and spoke in a voice only the two of us could hear. What about those 2 bottles of liquor in your office drawer? Not cheap, are they? Enough to get you sentenced for years? Louis's legs almost gave way. Cold sweat trickled down from his balding forehead. He stared at me in terror, as if I were some kind of monster. Ahem. Cough. Louis suddenly coughed loudly, startling everyone around. After preliminary verification, the content of this report is completely fabricated. Elena was indeed at home last night. This is a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Amelia was dumbfounded and shrieked, Louis. How could you? Louis immediately turned his anger toward Amelia. Shut up. You troublemaking idiot. If you dare make false reports again, I'll have you arrested. Squad, dismissed. With that, he fled with his 2 subordinates as if running for his life. I turned to look at the still-dazed Amelia and gave her a radiant smile. Amelia, seems like that uncle of yours has fallen from grace, huh? His name doesn't carry much weight anymore. If you dare to slander me without proof next time, I won't just make you trip, things will get a lot worse. Amelia glared at me with venom. Finally, under the scornful stares of the crowd, she slunk away in disgrace. Lucas stood frozen in place, staring at me blankly, as if he no longer recognized me. Honey, can you read fortunes? I blinked innocently. I know a thing or two about reading faces. I could tell Louis had something sinister brewing, his forehead was practically oozing bad luck. Lucas scratched his head and grinned, who cares? As long as you're okay. Come on, let's go home and design some outfits. Mom, Dad is such an idiot. But the way he stood in front of you just now was really cool. That's my real dad for you. I also laughed. He is quite handsome. Lucas got fired, which unexpectedly freed him from restraints. We cleared out the over 10 square meter living room at home and even dug out the sewing machine that had been stashed away for years. The batch of snowflake tweed fabric was spread out, and Lucas held the scissors, his hands trembling. Elena, are we really cutting this? If we mess up with one snip, several dollars will be gone. Cut it. I drew lines on the fabric with chalk. Trust me, we're not making those old-fashioned straight-leg pants, we're making bell-bottoms. The flare should be this wide. Lucas gestured uncertainly. Can people really wear this outside? It looks like a street sweeper's outfit. Dad. You don't get it at all, this is called fashion. In just 2 weeks, when that blockbuster drama airs, everyone on the street will be wearing these. If you don't start now, you won't even get a sip of the soup. My son was practically screaming in his head with frustration. Trust me, I patted Lucas on the shoulder. This is called disco style, and a lot of big stars are rocking it. We shouldn't just make them, we need to go all out. Lucas gritted his teeth. Fine. Whatever the wife says goes. Cut them. The next 3 days. Our sewing machine was running non-stop. Although Lucas was a grown man, his hands were surprisingly nimble. He learned how to cut fabric after just 2 demonstrations. He was even more efficient than me. 3 days later. 20 flared pants and 10 batwing blouses, fresh out of the oven. I hung these clothes on the clothesline in the yard, deliberately timing it for when people got off work. The colorful outlandish outfits stood out like a sore thumb in the dull, gray apartment complex. Goodness! Whose clothes are these? How strange. Is this supposed to be pants? The legs could fit 2 heads in them. Passing female workers pointed and whispered. Though their words were dismissive, their feet remained rooted to the spot. Their eyes were glued to the bright red batwing top. Seizing the moment, I pushed Lucas forward. He'd been prepped for this. Look, isn't that Lucas? What on earth is he wearing? Lucas wore custom-made flared jeans paired with a tight floral print shirt, topped off with sunglasses perched on his nose. He stood there with one hand in his pocket. Those long legs, those broad shoulders and narrow waist. He was practically a walking hormone. Sisters, aunties, and grandmas. I cleared my throat. This is the hottest style this year. Want to look as stunning as a movie star? Want to make the men at home unable to look away? Come try it. Free fitting first. Mom. That chubby auntie in the blue overalls just got her bonus. She's got $50 in her pocket. She's a diamond in the rough. Praise her to the skies. I immediately locked onto my target and grabbed the chubby auntie's arm. Oh, sis. You've got such fair skin, this red batwing top was practically made for you. You'll look even more stylish than a celebrity. Auntie Fatty was utterly flattered by my praise. Really? Just try it. I directly slipped the outfit onto her. And wow, that batwing top really hides the pounds. Auntie Fatty's barrel waist instantly disappeared. She looked at least 10 pounds slimmer. The people around gasped in surprise. My. So beautiful. You look so prosperous in this outfit. Auntie Fatty stared at her reflection in the mirror, stunned. How much for this set? This is our first batch of goods, offering our neighbors a fair price. I extended 3 fingers. Trouser pants, 18, tops, 15. Grab a set for just 30. That expensive? Straight up robbery, someone exclaimed. These days, monthly wages were barely $30 or $40. Mom. Don't lower the price. Tell them this fabric is imported, doesn't wrinkle or make you sweat. Plus, there are only a few pieces like this in the whole city, wearing it makes you totally unique. I smiled calmly. Expensive? This is snowflakes. At the friendship store, a piece like this would cost $50, and you'd need foreign exchange certificates. I made this myself at home, no frills. But once they're sold out, that's it. Auntie Fatty gritted her teeth. Give me a set. I don't believe it, I'm going to be fashionable for once. With the first sale done, the scene instantly spiraled out of control. Give me that blue one. I want that. The same style Lucas is wearing, I'll get one for my man. Lucas found himself surrounded by a crowd of enthusiastic middle-aged women. His clothes were even getting crumpled from all the touching. But he was happier than anyone, collecting money while shouting, "Take it easy. There's enough for everyone. Enough for all." In less than an hour, all 30 pieces of clothing, along with the sample pants Lucas was wearing, were snatched up completely. Looking at the thick stack of bills in his hand, Lucas's hands were trembling. Elena, this is $1,000? 3 days, $1,000. That was equivalent to what he used to earn in 3 years at the factory. Get a grip. I stuffed the money into his arms. This is just the beginning. Hurry up and go buy fabric. This time, we're aiming big. Lucas suddenly grabbed me and spun me around twice. Elena. You're truly my lucky charm. Hee hee, I'm the little god of wealth. Mom, look at the window over there. Amelia is peeking, and her face is twisted with anger. I looked up. Behind the second-floor window, a pale face flashed by. Stay mad, die mad. This is only the beginning. With money, Lucas suddenly gained confidence. Those aunties who used to roll their eyes at him now call him boss one after another, so warmly. Amelia stayed quiet for a few days, probably brewing up some mischief. Not long after, I heard that Amelia was also cutting fabric and making clothes at home. She even went into town specifically to learn the patterns, making bell-bottom pants just like ours. She even set up a stall by the factory gate, selling them for half our price, just 10 yuan a pair. Lucas, what should we do? Justin, Lucas's underling, rushed over in a panic, sweating profusely as he delivered the news. That Amelia is downright wicked. The fabric she's using is all subpar, it shrinks as soon as you wash it. And she's using our name, claiming she's got the same suppliers. Now tons of people are buying from her. Lucas was sitting in the yard counting money. Hearing this, his eyebrows shot up, and he stood up ready to grab a weapon. Sit down, I said, cracking melon seeds without even lifting my eyelids. What's the rush? Let her sell. Elena, that's our business. Lucas exclaimed anxiously. Mom, stay calm. Tell Dad, Amelia is digging her own grave. The batch of fabric she bought is scrap material rejected by the dye factory. It contains chemical toxins that cause rashes when worn. Plus, it's going to rain in a few days. That kind of fabric loses color as soon as it gets wet. When that happens, it won't be a business, it'll be a disaster. I spat out the melon seed shell and grinned like a fox. Lucas, not only should you not make a scene, but you should also send someone to help promote her business. Say, her clothes are cheap and comfortable to wear. Huh? Lucas and Justin were dumbfounded. Justin asked, Sis-in-law, are you so angry you've lost your mind? Listen to me. I beckoned them over. Justin, go find some gossipy aunties to queue up in front of Amelia's stall and make sure they loudly praise her clothes. Justin looked utterly bewildered but went anyway. Lucas ruffled my hair, sighed deeply, and said, Fine, you're the lady of the house. I'll do as you say. For the next 2 days, Amelia's business was booming. Watching our quiet and deserted yard, she became so cocky she practically had her tail in the air. Every time she passed by our door, she'd hum a little tune. Then, on the 3rd day, the weather turned. A sudden autumn rain poured down heavily and relentlessly. By the afternoon, cries of distress and curses erupted at the factory gate. Heartless Amelia, get out here. Refund. My legs are rotting. Look at this clothes. It turned into rags after one wash. Pay up. Lucas and I watched the commotion from under the eaves not far away. Amelia's stall had been overturned. A group of furious women, holding flared pants that had faded to white, surrounded Amelia and began tearing at her. Amelia's hair was tousled as she cried out, I don't know either. I was deceived too. Deceived my ass. How come Elena's clothes are fine? It's just you being greedy and selling fake goods. The plump auntie who had previously bought clothes from our shop was the fiercest. She directly threw the faded pants in Amelia's face. You better pay for my medical bills. My son wore your pants, and now his thighs are covered in red rashes. Amelia was in a miserable state. She looked around as if pleading for help and happened to meet my amused gaze. In an instant, her eyes turned venomous. Mom, be careful. This woman is about to go crazy. She has a pair of scissors in her pocket. Just as my son finished speaking, Amelia pushed through the crowd like a mad dog. She pulled out a large pair of scissors from her pocket and charged straight at me. Elena. It's all your fault, I'm going to kill you. The crowd let out a gasp. The distance was too close. Lucas was on his way home to fetch me an umbrella but got slightly separated by the crowd. Just as the scissors were about to stab me. Ah, a scream pierced through the rain. It wasn't me. It was Amelia. She had rushed forward but suddenly slipped mid-motion. Oh, I forgot to mention. I had Justin secretly pour a bucket of waste oil on the ground this morning. Amelia fell hard face first onto the ground. The scissors in her hand flew out and stabbed directly into her own thigh. My leg. My leg. Lucas rushed over at this moment. With a swift kick, he sent the scissors flying far away, then shielded me behind him while glaring coldly at Amelia writhing on the ground. You've made your bed, now lie in it. I shook my head and rubbed my belly, sighing, oh baby, has your knack for jinxing things also hit max level? Hee hee, you bet. Mom, quick, look. Amelia's little stunt is about to bring the cops running. She's done for this time, selling defective products that caused injuries, now attempting assault with a weapon, plus the Walter incident from before. She's facing at least 3 years behind bars. Oh, and more. Tell Justin to grab the leftover fabric from Amelia's stall on the cheap while chaos ensues. Useless for clothes, but perfect for making mops. Easy profit. I looked at Amelia writhing in pain on the ground, feeling nothing inside. Lucas, I tugged at his sleeve, let's go home. The rain is getting heavier, and it's chilly. Lucas bowed his head. He gently draped his coat over my shoulders, all right, let's go home. Behind us, the sound of police sirens rang out again. This round was a total victory. Amelia went in. Walter fell from power. The entire apartment building became much quieter. Our clothing business grew bigger and bigger. Lucas simply rented a storefront in the city. In just 2 short months, we became genuine 10,000 yuan households. That night, Lucas piled all the money on the bed, counting it over and over like a miser. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. Elena. 23,000. Lucas's face was flushed with excitement. He scooped me up and threw us both onto the bed. We're rich. We've really struck it rich. I rolled around in a pile of money. The smell of printer's ink was more intoxicating than any perfume to me. Is this all it takes to satisfy you? I poked Lucas on the forehead. This little money won't even buy you a toilet in the future. Lucas widened his eyes in disbelief. What kind of toilet is that expensive? Made of gold? Dad, listen to Mom. This money can't just sit idle. Buy property. Buy land. Especially that wasteland south of the city, no one wants it now, but next year the government will zone it as a commercial hub. If we buy now, it's pure profit. The voice of my son echoed frantically in my mind. Lucas, I straightened up, looking serious, we can't just save this money. Then what should we do with it? Buy a house. I pointed in the direction of the southern part of the city. I want to buy that abandoned factory. Lucas was startled, that dump? There's nothing there but rats. Why buy it? Might as well get a fancy car to show off. Listen to me. I didn't explain too much, mainly because I couldn't. Put all the money in and buy that piece of land. We won't run a clothing store anymore, we'll open a shopping mall. Lucas hesitated for a long time. In the end, he still said the same thing, all right, I'll listen to my wife. After all, this money was earned by you. If we lose it, we'll just start over from scratch. The next day, Lucas took the money to the neighborhood office. The factory had been abandoned for several years, and the office was worried no one would take it over. Looking at Lucas like he's a sucker. Not only did he sell the land for 20 grand, but he also threw in a warehouse full of giant soy sauce vats. On the day the paperwork was finished, Lucas clutched the red deed, his face full of worry. Honey, now we're broke again, plus we've got hundreds of soy sauce vats. I couldn't stop laughing. Broke? Silly man, what you're holding right now is a piece of land that'll be worth billions in the future. Mom, don't just laugh. Look at those vats. The one in the far corner, the plain gray one. That's a Yuan Dynasty blue and white porcelain, priceless. My smile froze. I turned sharply to look at the so-called freebie warehouse. No way. Buying land comes with antiques? This. Could this be the legendary protagonist's halo? Lucas. I screamed, quick. Move all those sauce jars home for me. Be careful, if you break even one, you're dead meat. Lucas looked utterly confused, but, honey, we really don't have space for more pickles at home. Time flew by. Before I knew it, my pregnancy was showing. My belly swelled up like a balloon. After purchasing that land, just as my son had predicted, official documents were issued within 6 months announcing the construction of a commercial center in the area. The land's value skyrocketed 20-fold overnight. The director of the neighborhood office, who had initially sold us the land, reportedly regretted it so much that he stayed in bed for 3 days out of sheer frustration. Lucas quickly went from being a small-time boss to being addressed as chairman. He didn't idle around either. Following my advice, he didn't sell the land. Instead, he secured a bank loan and built a shopping mall himself. At this moment, he was dressed in a suit and tie. Although he still had that carefree demeanor, there was now the sharpness of an entrepreneur in his eyes. Only one thing remained unchanged. And that was his attitude toward me. He treated me as if I might melt in his mouth or shatter in his hands. Elena, slow down, slow down. Lucas supported me as we strolled through the grand villa of our new home, his face filled with concern. Has this little guy been behaving lately? Not kicking you, is he? I gently caressed my belly and smiled warmly. He's been very well behaved. Humph, I'm the one who really cares about Mom. Unlike you, all you know is silly happiness. Our son grumbled in his mother's womb. Suddenly, a commotion arose at the entrance. Lucas. You heartless rascal. Now that you're rich, you don't recognize your own parents anymore? The loud voice left both me and Lucas stunned. At the gate, several elderly villagers dressed in ragged clothes were rolling on the ground, kicking up a fuss. Standing beside them was Lucas' smug-looking uncle. Everyone, come and take a look. The big boss refuses to support his own parents. I frowned. It was Lucas's wretched family. Back when Lucas was poor, these people, afraid of being asked for money, swiftly divided the family assets and kicked Lucas out overnight, even cutting off all ties. Now that Lucas had struck it rich, they came sniffing around like bloodhounds. Lucas's face turned ashen, his fists clenched so tightly they creaked. I don't know you. Get out. Ow. He's hitting us. Our own son is hitting his parents. Lucas's father immediately lay down on the ground and started playing the victim. The maids and security guards around them exchanged uneasy glances, not daring to intervene. Mom, don't get angry. Let me handle this, our son suddenly became excited. These old vampires sucked Dad dry in their past life and gave him a heart attack from anger. We can't spoil them this time around. See that so-called uncle? He has a fake paternity test in his pocket, trying to blackmail Dad by claiming he has illegitimate children. And that old woman, she's not even Dad's real mother, she's his stepmother. She switched the babies years ago. I glanced at Lucas. He was trembling all over, clearly angered by those ruffians. The man was ruthless to outsiders, but when it came to these so-called blood relatives, there was always a mental barrier he couldn't cross. Lucas, help me over there, I patted his hand. Lucas was startled. Elena, don't go, be careful not to get hurt. Don't worry, I can handle a small scene like this. I walked to the door with my big belly, like a queen. Oh, what kind of show is this? Seeing me come out, Lucas's stepmother's eyes darted around, and she rushed over to hug my leg. Daughter-in-law, you judge. We raised him through thick and thin. Stop. I snapped coldly. Cut the act. Just tell me one thing, how much money do you want? Hearing there might be a chance, Uncle immediately jumped in, 1 million. Not a penny less. And you have to buy us an apartment in the city. $1 million? I laughed. You've got some nerve. No? If you don't give it, we won't leave. We'll even call the press to expose you. Second uncle threatened viciously. Fine, go ahead and expose it. I leisurely pulled a photo from my pocket and flung it straight at that old hag's face. Old lady, does this person in the photo look familiar? That baby boy you abandoned in the snow at the Red Flag Health Center, do you still remember? The old woman's face instantly turned deathly pale. She stared at the photo as if she'd seen a ghost. It was a picture of her holding her own biological son in her youth. As for Lucas, he was the rich family's son she had swapped in, a scapegoat meant to suffer in place of her own child. How could you have? If you don't want others to know, don't do it in the first place. My eyes turned sharp. Lucas was never your child. Back then, all you cared about was hoarding those relief rations, so you swapped Lucas in to make him serve your family like a beast of burden. Now you still want to come leech off him? Not a chance. Lucas froze completely. He looked at me in disbelief, then back at the old woman. Elena, are you serious? Whether it's true or not, a blood test will tell. I pointed at second uncle, and you, stop waving that fake paternity test around. That so-called illegitimate child of yours is actually your wife's with the neighbor's husband. Maybe sort out your own mess before worrying about other people's business, huh? The room erupted. Second uncle's face turned green. You're talking nonsense. Whether I'm talking nonsense or not, you'll know once you go home and count the days yourself. I scoffed coldly. Security, throw these scammers out. If they dare come near here again, call the police immediately. The whole family, their schemes exposed by my words, were terrified out of their wits. They scrambled away in a panic, stumbling and crawling. Lucas stood in place, silent for a long time. After a few minutes, he suddenly crouched down, burying his head in his knees. His shoulders heaved violently. I knew he was crying. All those years of grievances, the pain of being abandoned and exploited by his parents, were finally released at this moment. I walked over and gently held his head. Cry, just let it out, and you'll feel better. From now on, the child and I are your true family. Lucas suddenly wrapped his arms around my waist, wailing loudly like a child. Sigh, Dad is so pitiful. But it's okay, from now on, he has a genius son like me to look out for him. Mom, let me tell you a secret, his biological parents are actually the famous, from a city. I hurriedly stopped him in my mind, hold on. This plot is too dramatic, save it for next time. Let your dad cry for a while first. The setting sun cast golden hues upon us. As I caressed my belly and gazed at the man in my arms, my heart felt an unprecedented sense of peace. This was my life, wealthy, loved, with a cheat code son. The twilight glow gradually faded, as night's gentle curtain enveloped the entire villa. When Lucas raised his head after crying his heart out, his eyes were still red, yet there was a newfound lightness about him. Wiping his face, he flashed me a grin, no trace of past gloom remained, only pure relief and anticipation for the future. Elena, thank you. His voice rasped yet carried unshakable conviction. In this lifetime, marrying you is my greatest blessing. I patted his shoulder, feigning disgust, cut the melodrama. Get up, the floor is cold, don't freeze my son. He quickly stood up and carefully helped me back into the house. As the living room lights turned on, the warm yellow glow fell on the thick stack of land deeds and bank loan contracts. That was our future. Several months later, the baby, Theo, was born. He looked exactly like Lucas, with adorable little peach blossom eyes that could melt anyone's heart the moment they opened. But only I knew that this little fellow had been a clever little rascal from the very beginning. When Theo was 5 years old, one day he suddenly took my hand and whispered mysteriously, "Mom, I have a secret to tell you." That night, our family of 3 sat on the carpet in the living room. Lucas sat cross-legged, holding our son in his arms, while I leaned against his shoulder. Theo, with his childish voice but serious tone, said, "Dad, your biological parents are actually in City A. Their family is super powerful, like, the kind that often appears in newspapers. Lucas froze, the apple in his hand dropping to the floor. Kid, what nonsense are you spouting again? My heart raced as I quickly covered our son's mouth. Theo, don't say such things. But the child blinked his big eyes innocently. I'm not lying. Dad, didn't you have a crescent-shaped birthmark on your neck when you were little? Lucas subconsciously touched the back of his neck, where indeed there was a faint bluish birthmark he had never paid much attention to. Dad, the year you got switched at birth was the same year the Smith family from City A had twins at the local hospital. One of them was accidentally taken by a nurse and ended up in the countryside. That was you. Lucas's face gradually paled, then flushed red. He looked at me, his voice trembling. Elena, this can't be true, can it? I sighed and ruffled my son's hair. This kid has always been a bit eccentric. But maybe we should check it out. Lucas was silent for a long time before finally nodding. Let's check. Even if it's not true, we can treat it as a trip to City A. We kept it quiet and secretly did a paternity test. The samples were taken stealthily, hair collected by Lucas, alongside barely visible strands extracted from a public photo of City A's Smith family patriarch, a feat achieved only through Theo's uncanny cheat guidance. On the day the results came out, Lucas's hands trembled so badly he could barely hold the report. Match probability, 99.9999%. He truly is the long-lost eldest son of the Smith family, missing for over 30 years. When the news reached City A, the entire Smith family was shaken. Lucas's father personally brought his wife, 2 sons, and 1 daughter, flying overnight to arrive. By the time Lucas's father stepped out of the car, he was already an elderly man with a head full of white hair, holding a cane but walking astonishingly fast. The moment he saw Lucas standing on the steps, the man broke down in tears at the sight of that face, so identical to his own in youth. My son, my son. Lucas stood in place, his Adam's apple bobbing, but remained speechless for a long moment. It was Lucas's mother who rushed forward first, hugging him tightly and weeping uncontrollably. My child, you've suffered so much. I've been searching for you for over 30 years. Lucas stiffened for a few seconds before slowly returning her embrace, his voice choked with emotion. I'm fine, really. Lucas' 2 younger brothers and 1 younger sister gathered around him, crying and laughing at the same time. The little sister clung to Lucas's hand and refused to let go. Big brother, you're so handsome. From now on, I'll be the sister of the future richest man. Lucas wiped away his tears and smiled, ruffling her hair. Silly girl, you always have been. Lucas's father held his hand tightly, repeatedly saying sorry. If it weren't for the hospital fire back then, we wouldn't have failed to discover the mix-up with the babies. We've been searching for you half our lives. Lucas shook his head, his voice low but firm. It's in the past, all in the past. Now I have a wife and a son, living a better life than anyone. He gazed at me, his eyes tender enough to melt. If it weren't for Elena, I might never have known who I really was. Lucas's father, or rather my father-in-law, turned to me and tremblingly removed a jade pendant from his neck, pressing it into my hand. Good child, this jade is our family heirloom, meant to be passed down to the eldest daughter-in-law. You've suffered through so much hardship alongside our Lucas. From now on, you will be the most honored guest of the Smith family. I smiled and declined. Dad, we don't need this. My father-in-law's face immediately became stern. You must accept it. This is the rule. At this moment, Theo squeezed in and called out in his baby voice, Grandpa. Grandma. My mother-in-law burst into tears again, picking Theo up and showering him with kisses. Oh, my precious grandson. You're so handsome. You look just like your dad when he was young. That night, the villa was brightly lit, filled with constant laughter. Lucas drank a lot of alcohol and ended up leaning drunkenly on my shoulder, muttering quietly, Elena, I used to always think my life was bitter. But now I know, turns out fate was saving the best for last. I pinched his cheek. Good that you realize it. From now on, you're not allowed to think of yourself as a street loafer anymore, you're a proper young master of a wealthy family. He giggled foolishly, I don't care about wealthy families or not. If I have you and our son, that's enough for me. Moonlight streamed through the window, bathing the harmonious shadow of our happy family. After hearing the inner voice of the future richest man's son, I decided not to divorce. Through this journey, we not only preserved our love but also rediscovered the lost family bonds, reaping complete happiness. In this lifetime, I've hit the jackpot.